Hi everyone. In this video, I'm not going to talk about any kind of overt or abuse or betrayal, but very simple miscommunication or conflicts that can arise in our relationships in the modern world, where what has happened is there are many people who are trained and programmed into thinking a particular way about child care, child raising, and they might have even read a lot of books about what is a good way to parent their child. But in practicing many logical things that they are learning from different sources, sometimes parents lose touch of the intuitive thing related to their child. And here I'm posting a video of a child who is in the kitchen with the mother, and the mother has tagged this as her child wanting to cut the mushrooms and in the kitchen, and the child was crying, and the mother is assuming that the child is crying because the child wants to cut the mushroom first. Now, the reason why the mother is thinking this way is because she is possibly the kind of a person who likes to do things by herself independently and first, and that's why she's assuming that this is what the child is also wanting. But sometimes she has to realize that while 50% of a child's genes is coming from her, 50% of the child's genes are also coming from the father. And also there is something that most parents don't understand currently about the current generation of kids that are coming on earth, but even some kids who have already been born by now and are much older than this boy. But there is a whole group of kids who are very different from what their parents were on their earthly life. So if parents enjoy eating a lot of particular kind of food in their life, those kids will not enjoy eating those kinds of foods, because these kids are high vibrational kids, and energetically they have, and especially spiritually, they have an energy which is very different from the parents' energy, because they have a higher soul purpose to be on earth, a purpose that most parents will not be aware of. Even these kids might not be aware of that higher purpose as they are growing up initially, but only eventually in their life, as their life unfolds, they will realize their higher, deeper purpose to why they were spiritually attached to some certain things. And in this video, what was actually unfolding, which it's up to the mother to realize the merit of what I'm saying is true or false, and up to the child's parents and other caregivers to understand this element about this baby. But he was actually not wanting to cut the mushrooms. He wanted his mother to not cut any of the mushrooms. He was in reality wanting that possibly he is a child who doesn't want to eat mushrooms. He could be a child who is allergic to eating mushrooms. He could be warning his mother that these mushrooms might be poisoned mushrooms. But he, being a toddler, he doesn't know that many words, right? He only knows the words no. That's why he is asking her not to do it. But because she is thinking that he wants to learn things first and he wants to cut the mushrooms, because what is going on in the mother's mind, she wants to cut the mushrooms. But what is going on in the child's mind, who is a toddler, who has a different soul energy, possibly slightly than the mother, who also has different soul purposes than the mother, and also because he's a toddler, he is more spiritually connected to the spiritual realm, because of which, if the reason is that there is a greater risk of getting some food poisoning from these mushrooms, which the child, being a baby, obviously doesn't know the terminology like poison, doesn't know the things like don't eat this mama, these kind of words he might not know, or that we shouldn't eat this. These are the words the child wouldn't know. But what will the child know if there is some poisoning involved in eating some mushrooms that have looking like normal mushrooms but might be poisoned? Is this that if the child is spiritually connected, the spiritual realm is using the child to guide the parents into steering away from something that might be harmful for them. If not her, I don't know, in the video she looked like she could even be pregnant. I don't know if she's pregnant or not. I could be falsely mistaken there. But even if the poison content, like sometimes we consume food which may have very microscopic amount of some poison in it, which as a adult body can easily consume and have no harm with it, because our body knows how to process through certain toxins easily, and if they are in microscopic or very minor amounts, we can easily not get any food poisoning at all, or the level of food poisoning we will get will be so mild, we will just simply get maybe a stomach upset and that's it. But that same small micro amount of toxin in something we are consuming, if consumed by a small toddler or by a fetus inside a pregnant woman's body, she could be pregnant, but this video is not simply about this mother, it could be also about other mothers who might have children who are asking them to and saying no to the mother. And in there was another video I have seen of a girl doing this to her mother, where they are eating in a restaurant and they are eating corn on the cob, and the mother thinks that the child is enjoying the corn, and the child is saying no mom, no. So mother thinks that because the child is enjoying the cob, the child wants to eat the cob, and that's why she starts feeding the child. But again, in that video also, it's actually the child being more connected to the spiritual realm, that corn might have had some toxins in it, because of which the child again doesn't know. That is also a toddler or 3-4 year old child. I don't remember the age of that other child in that other video. It's been a couple of months since I watched that video, but the similar incidents was unfolding for that child too, that baby was actually, or the girl, I think it was a girl, that child was wanting the mother to not eat the food that she was consuming. It is not that the child wanted to eat it, but the child didn't want the mother also to eat it, because again, if it is a nursing infant or a toddler who is nursing, or if a pregnant, if again in that case of that lady also, she is going to be pregnant soon or is pregnant, at that time, if something that is microscopically toxic to an adult can end up being majorly toxic to a child, or if someone is a breastfeeding mom or pregnant with a second child, at that time also something that is okay for a regular healthy woman to consume might not be okay for a fetus or the breastfeeding infant to consume. So that the reason, and even though it is a toxic food that is present in our daily life, sometimes we are so used to buying whatever we get in the market, and sometimes there's a lot of nowadays in the modern world, there's a lot of food coloring and chemicals added to our food to make our products look shiny. There's also some elements of terrorism related activities also going on in certain parts of the world to crash certain things. There's also inadvertent poisoning being done by humans, where humans are unaware and unconscious that what seems like a harmless food coloring to make our say the corn look very yellow in color is actually not a harmless food coloring, but a poison to certain humans, because not all humans are created equal. So something that could maybe not be poisonous to a 60-year-old person or a 60 kg 70 kg man might be poisonous to a 1 kg kid or a baby that is inside the mother's womb. So these things, the differences between what is poisonous to a large human versus what is poisonous to a smaller human, while the testing of it can take a while to do it, and no humans actually do testing on any kids, right? So what is the best way for universe to warn us when something is harmful for a small infant or a small child is by these ways, where the child is intuitively guided to not consume such products. Or if the child doesn't know that the mother might be pregnant, but the child's guides know that the mother might be pregnant, that's why they don't want them to eat the food that they are thinking of eating. So in this example of this boy who's saying no, and he looked at the mushroom and he was really crying, for him I feel it may not be poisoning related. For him, I felt the video was about him not wanting to eat mushrooms. He might be allergic to mushrooms or have some problems with mushrooms, that I don't know. That will possibly have unfolded in this mother's life later on in her life. But because the things related to poisoning also, sometimes people don't understand very easily or correlate very easily. It is a little difficult to correlate sometimes what you are allergic to. But the sadness and grief he had when he saw the broken two pieces of the mushroom that the mother had cut, and the kind of attachment he felt towards the mushroom is the kind of attachment I felt when, in biology practicals, I had to do practicals where, I had to dissect rats, and I didn't enjoy doing it. I felt really bad about killing an animal. Or when plants are sprayed with pesticides, sometimes empathetically I feel really sad about those plants which are getting killed as a result or poisoned as a result of the pesticides being sprayed on them, which most humans who are not attuned with animal life or plant life will not get it. But there are some humans like this boy who are deeply attached to other earthly life forms as well, because that is part of their life purpose. And if this boy is deeply attached to earthly life forms, part of his life purpose is to not consume too much of all these mushrooms and other foods that normal humans consume. And people might think, then what is he going to consume? That I also don't know the answer to, because I am yet to figure out the next steps of evolutionary changes that are going to unfold on Earth. But this part of deep attachment to planetary creatures is something some children are going to be born with. Some children are also going to be born like the other girl who was asking her mom to not eat the corn in the cob, and because the corn was toxic. And in that child's case, it was definitely about toxicity, because I could see that the corn was looking very unusual in its color. It was looking more brightly yellow than normally how a corn can look like. I've lived in US, so I know how corn in US looks like. I've lived in India, so I know how corns in India looked like. And this looked abnormally from both those kinds of corn. And also in recent years, I myself have found that when I bought corn from the market and I heated them, there was some strange smell coming from them. One time I also consumed the corn that looked very weird yellow in color, and after consuming it I got some urinary irritation and health issues after consuming that corn because of the coloring in it. So it could be something. For me it was a urinary issue, for some other person, depending on where the corns, what kind of poison or chemical was added to that corn, some other health issue could ensue for that woman or her child. So sometimes, when the mom is thinking the child wants to consume something or want to do something first, and they misassume something about the child based on what the mother is thinking. Sometimes what can happen is you can end up inadvertently giving a child something that the child doesn't even want to have. So the boy didn't want the mushroom to be cut, and the other child didn't want to consume actually corn. So, and I don't even know whether the other child also got any throat irritation, coughing, or any other symptoms after eating that corn, because again, that baby being a small baby, she was also possibly, I think, 1-2 years old child, or 1 to 3 years old. I really don't remember, it's been a while, but she was a young child. And because being a young child, most of them, and she also didn't have too many words except no. So usually up to 1 to 2 years of children don't say other words than no, right? So she didn't want her mom to consume. She was just using her hand to pull her mom from eating the corn, but that didn't mean that she wanted to eat it. So these are the things where parents have to heal and learn about themselves, that sometimes they are projecting their thoughts on their child when the child doesn't really want to do what you think the child is wanting to do, and where parents have to start becoming a little bit cautious about it. Because if you don't become cautious about what you are projecting to your child, you will fail to miss the cues of what the child is actually saying to you, which will be a great disservice to you in case that thing was going to be harmful for any of you. And it was definitely harmful. It's just that these are the small minor instances via which God and the universe is trying to waken women up to the reason why they have been given small toddlers in their life. Earlier, small children were given to us in our lives, of course, because women have the maternal instinct, caretaking instinct. All that was definitely one part of a reason why someone becomes a mother. But there is also some higher purpose to someone becoming a mother in recent years, and one of the higher purposes is related to earth pollution that needs to end. But that earth pollution can't end until people wake up to the places where earth pollution is going on, where earth harm is going on. Because with these mushrooms, I'm intuitively getting that these mushrooms not only might not have the boy didn't want to consume the mushroom, so the boy didn't want the mushrooms to be picked and broken and dead. And also it is possible sometimes in some certain parents cases, if they are facing some similar scenarios where a child is saying no to something related to food, it is about either the kid having an allergy or kid having a potential future health harm, which they're trying to stop it in the right place. Like you have heard this saying, a stitch in time saves 9. So this is a stitch in time that the universe is trying to cause in people's lives. Because what if, say, you consume a toxic mushroom, you will get mushroom poisoning. Sometimes the mushroom poisoning can have much more really bad effects. And if not just simply mushroom poisoning, say the universe knows what is going to unfold in your future, even if you don't know what might unfold in your future. So your universe, your angels, your guides know, like there could be 2-3 potential paths that will unfold in your immediate future. And knowing that immediate future, say there is a toxin in the mushroom, plus mushroom, whatever water you are going to cook in it, that water might have some toxin in it, both of which combined could be harming a child. So if the child doesn't eat at least one of the toxins, say you can't do anything about the water pollution yet because you don't know there's water pollution going on in your area. So there's going to be a few months or few weeks until that thing might be discovered about your area. But until then, whatever else that could be health harming has to be eliminated. That's why, and the only way it can be eliminated, because doing the testing, chemical testing for all this, I am a scientific person, so I know what are the scientific procedures and tests that might, the duration of time that might be needed to detect some chemical harm in particular products. Sometimes it can take a lot of time, sometimes it can be easily done depending on what kind of toxin was present in what you are wanting to consume. So but intuition is a higher level of that same chemical testing, logical testing answers that you will get. The same answers you can also get via intuition, an intuition that in an adult develops by their years of having a particular experience. But in a baby, it develops via their guides, unseen guides from the spiritual realm, helping them navigate this toxic earth. because that baby has a purpose. So because the baby has a purpose, the universe doesn't want that baby to die or have a severe illness that will harm its future purpose. Or the baby has also been given to a mom with a purpose, where the baby's purpose is to warn the moms who are unaware, who are busy, to become more mindful, become more aware about what foods are harmful to their consumption, harmful for their baby's consumption. Many breastfeeding mothers don't realize this consciously, but when you consume something and it has some health harm associated, some of the foods that you're consuming, medications that you're consuming, goes into your breast milk as well, and that then will go into your child's food supply eventually. So whatever a nursing mother consumes goes to the child, whatever a pregnant mother consumes goes to the fetus inside her body. Whatever a mother might consume and she's not breastfeeding, say her child is 5 years old, but if that thing is highly toxic and after a while gets accumulated in her body as a toxin, that same toxin can get released via sweat from her blood stream into the bed sheets they are sleeping on. And then when you and the child are sharing the same bed, sometimes that child can absorb the toxins from that same bed that you are sharing, not because they ate the same food as you or they are consuming breast milk from you, but because something that was highly toxic to you, your body was trying to get rid of it, and after it got rid of it via sweat, it went into a part of that chemical got into the bed sheets, and then from the bed sheets it got absorbed eventually by a baby. And something that for you only led to sweating might be for a 10 kg baby or 5 kg child be much more toxic than what it would have been for the parent itself. So these things people don't realize about their life because we don't understand how our body works. Most of us haven't studied biology, most of us are not from healthcare field, most of us also do not understand the pharmacological biochemical processes, as well as the chemical or drug interactions and chemical interactions in our body, or the health harm of the flow in which the toxins can get exposed in our life and harm our health directly or indirectly after certain exposures. So and all of this, even though we haven't realized about our health until now, a time of life has now happened on earth where the level of different chemical, biological and other toxins are so high that slowly intuition is the only way to start getting the right guidances on what will be beneficial or harmful to us. And the more in tune you are with yourself, more mindful you are about yourself and your interaction with your child, you will realize when the child is having their own individual input different from what you are thinking that the child is saying. Because most of the time when a child is really small, moms are obviously, because the child is so small, moms have to intuitively try to figure out what the child is trying to say, and part of the intuition comes from her own nature, right? But part of understanding a child that is only 50% genetically yours also means that there is another 50% element of the child's nature that will be different from yours, and because it is different from yours, the child will not always be thinking in the same way as the parent is thinking. And the child, being, if it is a small baby who's very highly in touch with their guides, they will also have additional information that the mother herself may not have about certain things related to her life, for which she can finally get logical information from videos like this or other educational scientific research work on this, or when newspaper article shows up to them that there was some poisoning going on in the mushrooms, or when their doctor tells them that information. But the stitch in time is before the doctor can tell you if you can prevent something from some harm from occurring. That is the stitch the universe is trying to place in these mothers' lives. I hope this made sense, and if any of you have any questions on this, please drop a comment. Thank you.